Good morning traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad you could all join us this fine Thursday morning. Hope everyone is doing well today. Apologies for starting a few minutes late. We did need to just adjust a few things on our watch list, but hope everyone is well. So for those who are new, my name is Mitch Caniero. I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, during these sessions, ideally us as the Afriforex team, we identify what trading opportunities we will be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, we do have John. He's in the back office, so he'll be here to assist you in whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions on the chat box, and John will respond to you. So once again, let's jump straight into it. So we'll start off with our watch list as usual. So having a look at watch list, you can see there is really no difference within our watch list from yesterday and today. Yesterday, we were looking for selling opportunities on the euro, the Canadian dollar, and the US dollar. And we're looking to mix and match those three pairs with all these pairs on the buy side. And you can see today, our watch list is pretty much the same. Now, in terms of fundamentals, you can see it is Thanksgiving in the US. So most of the news did end up coming out yesterday. I think most people did see a lot of US dollar news. All this news was the news that was meant to come out today and tomorrow. But since both days are going to be holidays, a lot ended up coming out yesterday. But ideally, there has been no change. Ideally, it still ended up showing that the US dollar did end up having a lot of weakness. However, today, we do look at our economic calendar. There's not really much. There was some Australian dollar fundamentals that did come out early in the morning. But apart from that, we only have some euro news, which, funny enough, will be during the US session and a bit of Canadian news. So there's not necessarily going to be much volatility. Nothing going to happen, or at least no news happening during the London session. That doesn't mean that the market will not move. However, most of the time you find that the markets do end up moving a lot slower if there's not necessarily that much fundamentals. However, we will see what ends up happening. So since our watch list is going to be the same, we will end up having a look at a few screenshots that we did manage to get before we do focus on today's pairs. So we'll start off here. We did get Bravin. Bravin, obviously, we did manage to grab a very nice selling opportunity, it seems, here on silver. Very nice sell right there at the top. You can see the price has really come down in your favor. So very well done. And your stop loss already below your entry. So very, very good job on this trade, Bravin. Keep up the great work that you're doing. So also next, we did get Caroline. Caroline Sini did manage to grab a very nice buying opportunity on the British pound against the US dollar. We'll have a look at it because we are still going to meant to be looking for buying opportunities on this. And this trade really did end up moving quite far. Seems that you did grab this trade early in the morning, and you can see the market going very up in your favor. Stop loss already above your entry. So very good job on that. And you also did grab a trading opportunity on the euro against the US dollar. Very nice buy right there. You can see that US dollar weakness that really did come in. You can see you have already managed your trade very well. So very good job on those trades, Caroline Sini. So also next, we get George Chege. Have to see your screenshots here as well. Did manage to grab some very nice selling opportunity, it seems, here on gold. Seems like possibly it was either today morning or so. Very nice sell right there. The price did manage to come down in your favor. Stop loss already below your entry. So very good job on this trade, George. I'm seeing your entries are becoming better and better each time. You're selling within the area where they're sellers. So very good job on that. And it also did seem that you managed to grab a trading opportunity here on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Very nice buy. I know you have a lot of things on your charts. However, you can see you did buy within this particular area. Stop loss already above your entry. You can see the price has really already gone up in your favor. Take profit within it's still within the seller's area right there at the top. I do end up hoping it does end up getting towards that location. But we do know we also have where the body closes, sometimes the market just gets towards that area. So I do end up hoping this market did continue going up in your favor, but very good job on this trade, George Chege. So also next, we get Mark. Mark Ngori did manage to grab a very nice selling opportunity on the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. Seems that you grabbed a selling opportunity the day before. You can see the price did manage to come down in your favor. You managed a number of it. Did not manage to end up re-entering and adding more size on it. You can see the price going up down in your favor. Stop losses already below your entry. It seems that you're really killing it on the charts here, Mark. So very good trade on this, and keep up the great work that you're doing. Very nice sell right there where the sellers are. And you can see the market really did go in your favor. So great job on that trade, Mark. So that's it for all the screenshots that we didn't manage to get. Remember, guys, if you do manage to take any setups based on things that we do share, feel free to send them in to us. We do want to see how you guys are progressing. So you should end up finding our contact details in the description under this video. So I think that's now the housekeeping done. So let's jump straight into today's pairs. So we'll start off here with the euro pairs. We'll mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side. Do the same thing with the Canadian dollar before we move on to the US dollar. Then we will have a look at the indices as well as gold and silver. So starting off with the euro pairs, we have the euro against the Australian dollar. Now, on this pair, our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities. Unfortunately, the sells did not work out. It seems there seems to have been a problem with the Australian dollar pairs. As you can see, we wanted to see whether or not we could grab some selling opportunities based on these three areas. During the London market open, price was within a buyer's area. You can see the price really did come up aggressive. Once we're within this area where the sellers during the London session wanted to still see whether or not the price was going to be able to actually break this area to the downside. But as soon as it broke above, and you can see the fact that the price maintained to the upside, this pair did fall off our watch list. Now, today, the bias is still to look for selling opportunities. Remember, we did end up getting some fundamentals, some Australian dollar fundamentals early in the morning, still showing strength. So we are still expecting the Australian dollar to show strength, especially when you end up looking at this pair on a higher time frame. You can see this price had really come down quite aggressive. So if we do end up looking at the way the price managed to come down right here, potentially we could be in some sort of channel, especially the fact that we've gotten such a deep pullback and the lows are not necessarily getting that much higher. You might actually find that we start channeling to the downside. And that's the reason why we will still be looking for those selling opportunities. Remember, in order for us to sell, we need buyers. And maybe there were not enough buyers in this situation for us to sell. So maybe right now, enough people have been excited to look for buying opportunities. So for us, we will still be looking for selling opportunities, however, focusing on these three areas. So aggressive sellers area right there at the top. So as long as prices are holding below this spread support and resistance area, our bias is to look for selling opportunities. Now, you can see if we do manage to grab a selling opportunity within this particular area right here, potentially getting some sort of probe or price action signal, and you can see the market did end up probing within there. So hopefully it just ends up coming back within that location for us to look for a selling opportunity right there. Now, if the price is able to, or at least we miss that opportunity, and you do find the price actually coming to the downside, do wait for the price to actually hold below, show evidence that the price is actually holding to the downside for us to be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on the euro against the Australian dollar. But remember, if the price breaks and falls above this red support and resistance area, this pair will fall off our watch list. That means the probability of the sell working out really does go down. And since we have very many pairs to look out for, we will end up avoiding this pair. So let's wait to see what ends up happening, but there could be some good potential on this, especially due to the fact that everyone is seeing this as for a buy. No one is really looking out for the sell to come in. So moving on to the next euro pair that we did have the euro against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday, it seems that during the Asian session, the markets really did come down quite aggressive. So by the time the London market was opening, you can see the price was within this particular area. Didn't manage to continue grinding down slowly, but as it breached, this wasn't really a very convincing breach. Price is just still maintaining within that particular area. During the US session, we did end up starting to get pullback coming back in. At 5:30, the market attempted, but you can clearly see how choppy this market was yesterday. So today, the bias is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. We've now adjusted the areas, so we'll be focusing on these three locations to look for ourselves. So aggressive sellers area right there at the top. We do have a support and resistance area right here in the middle, and we have the support area down here at the bottom. Can't see even right now, we are potentially within some sort of range. So the fact that the market is maintaining within here, we potentially could end up seeing the price coming back within this area before we do end up seeing the price coming down. But the fact that the price managed to get towards this location, attempted to go down, we could not go any lower. There's a possibility we could be inciting a few people, or at least need to incite a few people to start looking for buys before we're able to look for selling opportunities. So even as you see this week that did end up coming in right now, most people must be jumping in on selling opportunities. And if they're jumping in on sells, most likely their stop losses are just above here. So don't be surprised if the price just ends up doing something like this before it actually ends up coming down lower. But we wait to see what ends up happening. But alternatively, if the sellers do end up coming in, breaking this area to the downside, and we do get the price holding below, then we should be able to look for selling opportunities. And remember, when the price is breaking, we want a very strong breach to the downside. That will definitely show the big boys are there. As you can clearly see, this market has held within this location. So we need strong sellers to actually break this particular area to the downside. So hope the game plan is clear on what we're looking at doing on the euro against the Japanese yen. As we move on to the next euro pair we do have, right here we have the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Here, our bias yesterday was to look for selling opportunities, but it seems the main sells really did work out during the Asian session. The price really did come down aggressive, ended up getting a slight pullback within here, and you can see the price, for that, price managed to continue coming down lower, coming back to this same support and resistance area. But the price was within here during the London market open. You can see the price attempted to go down lower. All those people who are jumping in on late sells did end up getting stopped out, because you can see the prices, it came back in, we never held below. Came straight back up, quite aggressive, and the price showed us evidence it was actually holding to the upside. So you can see the pullback came in. During the US session, the price was within the seller's area, but it seems the sellers could not actually take this price down enough. It seems that the sellers really weren't fully interested in this particular price, because you can see it just came back down towards the support and resistance area before the price managed to continue going up, ideally looking for a better price. And ideally, that better price will potentially be higher above this particular area. So right now, even as the price is maintaining within these locations, we will definitely still be looking for sell, but we would want some big boy sellers to actually show up. So there's potential right now as the price is playing around within this particular area. You can see that some sellers did end up coming in. Where the buyers are coming in, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. We could end up finding these sellers actually coming back in quite aggressive. So if we do end up seeing some buyers coming in, aggressive sellers, and we see the price holding below, we should be able to look for sell. However, if we do not see those aggressive sellers, chances are we could even be coming back up within this particular area before we're able to find some selling opportunities. So overall, we will wait to see what ends up happening, at least at what area the big boys are actually going to get interested in this kind of pair. So hope that's clear as we move on to the next euro pair that we do have. Here we have the euro against the British pound. Yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities, and you can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Now, initially, John even did end up mentioning the market structure of this. It did seem to be within a range. And the fact that that was the case, you can see that's the reason why with this illustration, we did mention since we're within a range and we're within a bias area, we needed either the price to break this area to the downside and hold below for us to look for selling opportunities, or the best place to look for yourself is at the top of the range. And if you do look at the timing that the price was there, this is just at 11:15, a few minutes after the London market did end up opening. You can see after that, the price did manage to continue grinding down lower. Hardly moved really during the London session, a bit more during the US session. So today, the bias is still going to be looking for those selling opportunities, focusing on the exact same areas that we did end up having yesterday. Now, the thing is, right now, it does look as if the price is attempting to break this area to the downside. It's not that convincing, especially remember I did mention when we want a level being broken, we really want the buyers or sellers to really come in quite aggressive. As you can see, these sellers don't necessarily look that aggressive. And the fact that they bounced off this particular area, you can see multiple times, that is definitely showing an issue. So in this situation, we will still be looking for selling opportunities. Ideally, for me, if the price comes back in and holds above, ideally, I will still be looking for their selling opportunities up there at the top. But if we do end up getting this price actually breaking this area to the downside, right now I'm not convinced fully, but I think if the price breaks this area to the downside, maybe hold below within this area, there could be a potential small sell. Might not necessarily be the best, because right now the main thing we would want is some buyers to come in for us to actually look for those selling opportunities. But right now we are definitely following the market structure and we wait to see what ends up happening on the euro against the British pound. So moving on to the next and last euro pair we do have, this is the euro against the Swiss franc. Yesterday, bias was to look for selling opportunities, and that is still the same situation today. But it seems that yesterday, price was on the pullback, because you can clearly see the three areas that we had pointed out. Price was within an area where the buyers, we can see the buyers did manage to actually come up quite aggressive during the London session. During the US session, the price was within this particular area. Wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting a probe and the price holding below. You can even see the illustrations that John had pointed out. The price is able to go up and show us evidence if it was holding below, we could have been able to look for a sell. And you can see something similar happened. However, the price actually held above. So at that point in time, there was no selling opportunity for us just yet. Now, today, the bias is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. We'll still focus on the same three areas that we did have. However, remember, the main thing we always want to see is a sign of big boy sellers. I know we've mentioned that a couple of times if you see the price within a certain area and you do see big boy buyers or big boy sellers, you could look for some potential trade. Now, this right here, you can see the way the price has come down. That does look quite aggressive, especially if you compare how these buyers were coming through the upside and compare how the sellers are coming. You can clearly see some aggressive selling move down to the downside. So we'll definitely be looking for selling opportunities. But as usual, we don't want to sell within an area where the buyers could end up coming in. So in this situation, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. Potentially, if we can get the price coming back in and holding below, I think that one would be much safer. Get rid of these buyers who could potentially give you issues for you to be able to look for selling opportunities within that particular area. Now, you can see right now where we are. We are definitely within an area where sellers have reacted from before. You can see the last time price was here. That's exactly what happened. And you can see the same situation. Aggressive sellers did come in before there was a slight pullback, and the market did manage to continue coming down lower. So let's wait to see what ends up happening. Right now, definitely want to see how the buyers are going to end up reacting, but do end up taking note of the correlation. Potentially, a number of these euro pairs could end up moving during the London session. We will wait to see what ends up happening. But remember the market opening times. I know we sound like a broken record, but right now, at least since we have the opportunity, also watch out for 10 o'clock, which is the Frankfurt market open. Sometimes you will find the markets moving 1 hour before the London market does open. So remember the timings, 10, 11 during the London market and 4 and 5:30 during the US session. So hope that's clear for all the euro pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the euro with all the pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to move on to the Canadian dollar pairs and do the same thing. So we'll start off with the Australian dollar against the Canadian dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Remember, the Australian dollar pair really not necessarily perform for us as well. You can see the price was basically just ranging within these particular levels, hardly doing anything, not going to the upside, not going to the downside. Right now, we are getting the price coming down. But remember, we did end up getting some Australian dollar fundamentals early in the morning that did end up saying that we should be expecting some strength. But as usual, we are expecting strength. We always want to buy within an area where they're buyers, sell within an area where they're sellers. So we'll still focus on the same areas, but ideally here, wait to see how this market actually starts coming down. Definitely, it is inciting very many people to start looking for sells. We do end up seeing the price attempt come in, and we do see those aggressive buyers coming in. Ideally, we could end up waiting for a pullback to look for those buying opportunities here. But remember, similar story. If the price is able to break this area to the upside, so if we do get the price breaking this area to the upside and holds above, then we should be able to look for another opportunity right there. So hope that's clear. And remember, if the price breaks and holds below the red support and resistance area, this pair will fall off our watches. So moving on to the next Canadian dollar pair we do have. Right here, we have the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. The sales really did work out, but it seems that it hardly gave us any pullback, which was quite a bit difficult to actually get the move to the downside. So you can see where the price was. It started actually breaking this area to the downside, and it did start moving at 10 o'clock. That's during the Frankfurt market open, and a lot more during the London market open. So you can see the best entry would have been at 10 o'clock. So that's the reason why I'm also mentioning 10 as the Frankfurt market open for a time for you guys to watch out for. So you can see the price managed to continue going down all the way during the US session, did end up getting some sort of small range. Right now, during the Asian session is when we're getting a pullback. So a pullback is definitely what we want to see in order for us to look for selling opportunities. We don't want to sell at such a low price. Obviously, we want to sell at a high price. So right now, as the price has come up, we'll wait to see what ends up happening. This price, let's see whether or not it's good enough, and especially due to the fact that these buyers have come in aggressive. Don't just start jumping in on sales because we're within this area. Let's wait to see if the buyers cannot be able to take this price up higher. We see the price holding to the downside. We could end up looking for a very nice selling opportunity here. But be aware, if this level doesn't hold, we will be expecting to see the same thing, some sort of slowdown and aggressive sellers coming in within the red support and resistance area at the top. So I hope that's clear. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. I think a number of the yen pairs are giving us a pullback, which is what we want to see. But remember, you can use correlation a lot with the yen pairs to identify whether or not the trade you're looking for is actually ready. So we'll move on to the next Canadian dollar pair. Right here, we have the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. Yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Hardly gave us any pullback, similar situation. In similar situation right here, we can see at 10 o'clock during the Frankfurt market open. That's when the price did end up breaching and holding to the upside. Hardly ended up giving us a very big hold. But you can see the price did manage to continue going all the way up during the London session. Similar situation during the US session, we did get a small push to the upside, but it seems from 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange, that's when the price actually started giving us a pullback. So you can see during the Asian session, throughout the Asian session, the London session, and a bit during the US session, the price just continued going up higher, had giving us a pullback. But once the New York Stock Exchange did come in, that's when we did end up starting to see this price starting to come down. But ideally, that's what we want. Remember, we don't buy at such a high price. The main thing we want is the pullback. So we'll be focusing on these three areas to see whether or not we could get some sort of reaction for us to look for a buying opportunity. So right now, as the sellers are coming down, let's wait to see what ends up happening. No big bird buyers have shown themselves yet. So we wait to see what happens. If we do see the price coming back in, showing us evidence it's attempting to hold to the downside, if you see it holding above, then we could definitely end up finding a very nice buying opportunity there. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening here, but let's see how those pullbacks do end up coming. Now, the next Canadian dollar pair we did have is the British pound against Canadian dollar. Similar situation, it seems that on most these Canadian dollar pairs. You can see yesterday our bias was to look for buying opportunities. We did want a pullback, but hardly one ended up coming in. During the Asian session, the price continued going up higher. Similar situation during the Frankfurt market open and the London market open, the price just managed to continue going up higher and higher. Seems that in this situation, it was around 3 o'clock where the price did manage to break and hold above this area. Might not have been very convincing, but can clearly see the price did manage to continue going up quite aggressive throughout the whole day. And if we do take note, at the time that the price actually started coming back down, that was at 5:30. So you can see that same correlation coming in terms of a pullback. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So overall, we'll be looking for buys based on these three areas. So we have a seller's area right there at the top, which definitely could end up giving us some issues. So right now, as the pullback is coming in, that's definitely what we want to see. Let's see how this pullback comes in, potentially within this support and resistance area, for us to look for some buying opportunities here. But remember, as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias will still be to look for buying opportunities. That means price can come all the way down within this particular area, and we will still be looking for that buy. We'll wait to see what ends up happening here. Let's see how this pullback comes in. Remember, there's not hardly any fundamentals coming in until 4 o'clock, which we do end up having some euro news. So we'll wait to see how the market performs at that time. So hope that's clear on the British pound against Canadian dollar. As we move on to the last Canadian dollar pair we do have, right here we have the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Wanted to see whether or not we could end up getting some sort of pullback coming in. You can see the illustration that John had pointed out. But it seems that the market did manage to continue coming down lower during the Frankfurt market and the London market open, hardly giving us any pullback. So this might have been a bit difficult to get, but you can see the price did manage to come back within this buyer's area, and the price ended up holding within this location. You can see how many times it attempted to break this area to the downside, and not once it actually hold to the downside. You can see the amount of probes that ended up coming in. Similar situation, 5:30. It seems that the Canadian dollar, all of them started giving a pullback at 5:30. So it seems similar situation during the Asian and the London session. A bit during the US session, the market went down. But right now, as the pullback is coming in, you can see the fact that there's that correlation. You end up noting that you should watch out for the timings. So if you do see a nice opportunity on one trade, have a look at the other Canadian dollar pairs. See maybe if you can end up maximizing on your profits on those trades. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening here. Right now, we could potentially be entering into some sort of range. You can see we've bounced off this level multiple times. So there's still a possibility that the price can end up coming back within this area, showing us it's holding before it actually comes down lower. But do make sure if you do end up seeing that, make sure you manage your trade within this area. But a number of times, what usually happens as the market ends up giving us this pullback. So you can see as the price has come down, we did end up getting a pullback. The fact that the price has attempted to come down lower and we were not able to go any lower, it means that this particular price might not have been good enough. And what that means is we need to end up getting a better price, meaning there were not necessarily enough people willing to actually start buying there for the big boys to actually sell. So remember, in order for you to buy something, you need people who are willing to sell. So if they really want to sell a lot and there is not enough buyers there, it's not possible for them to actually sell that much. So what usually ends up happening, you find that the market ends up giving you some sort of probe. So right now, I've identified a level. There's some sort of major scenario also within here, at least a support and resistance area that we have also identified, even though the main red support and resistance area is right there at the top, and we will still be looking for sales as long as the price is holding below there. Just be aware that the price might spike up just a bit higher. All those people who are jumping in on sales, we'll now start looking for buying opportunities, all the breakout traders. And once we see the price coming back in and holding below, that will definitely give us a very nice selling opportunity on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So I hope that is clear on the Canadian dollar pairs. So right now we're going to move on to the US dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the buy side. So we'll start off with the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation. Buying opportunities. Apologies for that. It is still the same situation today. Unfortunately, you can see the market was quite choppy. Even though you can see the way the market has was grinding up higher and higher. You can see during the London market open, it ended up going to the upside. But these trades might have been a bit difficult to get. It actually seems as if the market could have been potentially within some sort of small channel as it was going to the upside. So this might have been a bit tricky to actually end up grabbing those trading opportunities. But today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll focus on the three areas that we have identified, the same areas that we did have yesterday, since the market is still respecting them. So we do have the main seller, or at least an area, problem area right there at the top. But you can see this is an area that John had pointed out yesterday, where the main sellers were, or at least some sellers are, that you definitely should end up watching out for. And you can clearly see as the price approach there, it definitely is giving us some sort of problem. So right now, as the price has given us a pullback, we're still holding above this particular support and resistance area. Wait to see what ends up happening. We do end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal showing evidence big but buyers are interested. We should be able to look for buying opportunities. Even if targeting all the way at the top, remember, since there's a seller's area right here, do make sure you manage some of your trade, either at least moving your stop loss to break even, so just in case it reacts, you don't end up coming out with a loss, or at least if by the time you move your stop loss there, if it does manage to continue, at least the price you will end up maximizing on that trade. So wait to see what ends up happening. This level doesn't hold, and the price comes and holds below this particular location. So it actually holds to the downside. Then we should see the price coming back within this buyer's area before we're able to see those buying opportunities. We might find that potentially it could be in some sort of range bouncing between these levels. So hope that's clear on the Australian dollar against the US dollar. As we move on to the next US dollar pair. Now, when you end up having a look at the other US dollar pairs, you'll definitely see a lot of weakness. So the Australian dollar was the one that was giving issues. So yesterday, here on the US dollar against Japanese yen, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Hardly any pullbacks that did end up coming in. Similar situation in terms of during the Asian session, the price continued coming down lower. During the London session, we did end up getting the price seeming like as if it had actually held below within this particular area. But it seems that the market started moving during the Frankfurt market open at 10 o'clock. And it did manage to just continue going down lower and lower. Similar situation, there was a small opportunity around during the US session, because you can see the market was within a small range. Unless you were grabbing your selling opportunity at the top of the range, it might have been a bit difficult to actually grab this selling opportunity. However, the good thing is, remember, in order for us to sell, we always need a pullback. We always need buyers for us to sell. And if we're looking to sell, we need people who are willing to buy. So that's the reason why we always encourage looking for those pullbacks. And right now, we are happy to see a pullback is starting to come in. We wait to see what ends up happening. Right now, the way these sellers, they're not necessarily reacting the best. So there's a possibility we could end up getting this price coming up a bit higher before we do end up seeing the price coming down lower. Mainly because the way the market is not necessarily reacting here, and look at the way the buyers did end up coming in quite aggressive. So wait to see what ends up happening. However, if we do end up seeing some sort of big aggressive sellers coming in within this area, and we do end up seeing the price holding to the downside, we should be able to find a nice selling opportunity. And alternatively, could be able to get the way more conservative entry right here. You can see the price attempted to do that. All those people who are jumping in themselves, if they do not wait for the price to actually hold below, you can clearly see they definitely stopped out from those trades. So wait to see what ends up happening here. But ideally, the bias for sales is definitely still on. Now, moving on to the next US dollar pair, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. You can see the same situation. The US dollar was quite weak yesterday. During the Asian session, the price managed to continue going up, and this was a mixture as well with the New Zealand dollar strength. So during the Frankfurt market open, so you can see at 10 o'clock, price was within the seller's area, but it did manage to break this area to the upside. You can see we did end up managing to get a pullback. I think there might have been some illustrations with this one. I'm not seeing any, that's fine. So it seems overall, the market did manage to end up giving us a pullback coming back in within this particular area. You do note the time, That was around 4 o'clock, and that's when the price managed to actually start going to the upside. So there was an opportunity, at least here, based on this pullback during the US market open at 4 p.m. So today, the bias is definitely still going to look for those buying opportunities. Right now, we're definitely getting a pullback. So wait to see what ends up happening based on these three locations. So aggressive sellers are right there at the top. Let's see how this pullback is going to come in. Hopefully, we'll see what kind of reaction comes in within this support and resistance area. But remember, we will still be looking for buying opportunities as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area. So let's wait to see how these sellers are going to come in. We do see them coming in within this location, showing us that unable to actually go down lower within this particular area. We should be able to look for a buying opportunity, but we don't see any reaction within this area here. Chances are we could even be coming back to the red support and resistance area for us to look for our buying opportunities there. So hope that is clear on the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. As we move on to the next pair we do have, this is the British pound against the US dollar. So yesterday, bias here was to look for buying opportunities, and it seems Caroline did manage to grab the buying opportunity within this area, because you can see the price did manage to continue going up quite aggressive, and this was during the Frankfurt market open. Might have been a bit tricky to get, because you can't even see the illustration John pointed out here. We did want to see a pullback, but the fact that the price really came up quite aggressive seems that the prices were definitely quite strong within this area. You can see we did get a slight pullback, and the price attempted to break this area to the upside and actually held above. But you can see this was around the US market open, just before the US market open, and it didn't manage to continue going up. So you can see the weakness that really did come in with the US dollar pairs. But today, buyers is still going to be looking for buying opportunities, meaning we're still going to look to sell the dollar. So right now, the main thing we don't want to jump in on any buying opportunities so high up. You can see best place, obviously, to look for your buying opportunities is down within these areas. But the fact that the price has breached this area to the upside, there's a possibility we could end up getting this pullback coming in within one of these support and resistance areas. So wait to see what ends up happening. But right now, we'll be focusing on this first SNR. So let's wait to see how this seller comes in. We don't see any reaction within this area, something similar to this within this location. We'll wait to see the same situation, however, within the red support and resistance area. So right now, pullback is coming in. Let's wait to see what ends up happening on the British pound against the US dollar. As we move on to the last US dollar pair we do have, right here we have the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. You can see with the illustration that John had pointed out, we're within an area where there are buyers, so we did not want to jump in on selling opportunities right there. The price didn't manage to actually break the area to the downside. You can see we did want to see a pullback coming in before we're able to look for the sell. But it seems that the market continued going to the downside, both during the London session as well as the US session. It's only right now during the Asian session we're actually starting to get a pullback. However, the illustration that John had pointed out yesterday still is valid. That means as the price has broken this particular range, we will definitely still be looking for selling opportunities. So the fact that the market is within this range right here, as you can see, it had been playing around within quite a bit. Now, if we're able, what most likely happens is once the price breaks a particular range, there's a high likelihood it will pull back to that same support and resistance area. So yes, yesterday it did not happen, but that doesn't mean it might not happen today. So we'll wait to see how the market ends up reacting. If we end up getting a pullback coming in within this area, we see the price holding below that area, we should be able to find a very nice selling opportunity. But if the price ends up coming back in and holding above this particular area, chances are we're coming back all the way to the top, because we might still be within that particular range. So the best place to look for the sell at that point in time would be at the top of the range. So wait to see what ends up happening here. The price is able to break this area to the downside and hold below, then we should be able to look for nice selling opportunities as well. So hope that's clear on all the US dollar pairs, or at least on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match all the pairs on the sell side with all these pairs on the buy side. So right now, we're going to have a look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off with the NASDAQ, the NAS 100. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Unfortunately, you can see the three areas that we had pointed out. Now, during the market early in the morning, you can see the price looked as if it had come back in and was holding within this particular area. We did point out that the best places to look for the buy either the price breaking this area to the upside and holding above, or potentially getting a pullback within one of these two areas. And you can see the price didn't manage to end up coming down during the US session around 4 o'clock, managed to come all the way back down within the buyer's area, You can see we did end up getting a pull. Might have been a bit tricky to actually grab this, but if you did manage to grab those buying opportunities, you can see we're back within the problem area that we did end up having. So overall today, we'll still be looking for those buying opportunities. We'll be focusing on these three areas. So right now, the fact that the price has approached this particular location, it's not necessarily very convincing. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. If we are able to get the price potentially breaking this area to the upside, and we do end up getting a pullback, then we should be able to look for those buying opportunities to come up with the NAS 100. However, we don't necessarily see that, and we do see the price coming back in. Let's wait to see what ends up happening. If it does end up coming back all the way within this area right here, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities, especially if it really comes down much, much slower. Potentially, these sellers need to be really fully taken out before the buyers come in. So we wait to see what ends up happening on the NASDAQ. So levels are still the same. So as we move on to the US 30, the Dow Jones. So yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. Now, you can see there was a small support and resistance area right here, but the market did end up giving us a pullback too. Unfortunately, we did not get back all the way within our main bias area as we had wanted. And it seems that the market attempted to go to the upside. Fortunately, it could not actually break and hold above this area. It didn't matter how far the market went, as long as we're not getting a full confirmation that the price is holding above an area, that level has not been broken. So you can see it seems like it was a probe. The price did manage to come back down within our area that we did end up pointing out. So definitely this price might not have been good enough, but potentially the price where we're at right now could be good enough. So we'll wait to see similar situation within the same areas for us to look for those buying opportunities. So right now, we wait to see what ends up happening, how this price ends up potentially giving us some sort of pullback. We want to see the seller slowing down before we're able to see the buyer really coming back in on the Dow Jones. So in this one, we wait to see what ends up happening. If the price breaks and holds above this particular area, then we should be able to also look for buying opportunities within that location. So hope that is clear as we move on to the metals. So as usual, we start off here with silver. Now, this it seems that the trade Bravin did manage to grab right there at the top. So on silver, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. You can see the sales did work out quite well. You can see the illustration that John had pointed out. We want to see either the market giving us more of a pullback or coming back down and holding below this particular area. It seems it did the second part where the market during the London market opened from 11. It started coming to the downside. Seems that it was holding within this area. Remember yesterday, the level we did have was within around that location right there. So the fact that the price did end up playing around within that location, it seems at 5:30, that's when the price really did take off to the downside. You can see we did end up getting a small problem area within here before the sellers during the Asian session did manage to go to the downside. If you do notice, the time that the markets really start making a big push, or at least the beginning of the push, is usually during one of the market opening times. So you can see at 11 o'clock, that's when the markets, in fact, from 10 and 11, that's when the price started coming to the downside. We did end up getting a hold, but the main move again started at 5:30 during the New York Stock Exchange Open. And similar situation as well. During the Asian session, the Asian market was opening, you can see the big push to the downside. So that's the reason why the timing, if you're struggling with the timing, if you're entering your trades, if you try and limit the times that you enter your trades based on those times that we keep on mentioning, you will definitely see an improvement in the accuracy of when the trades are actually going to take off. So the fact is today, buyers here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. If the price has come down, we do not want to jump in on any selling opportunities all the way down here. It's definitely very obvious to everyone. So we did need a pullback. We wait to see what ends up how the market reacts within this particular seller area. Do see the price holding below, we should be able to grab a very nice selling opportunity. However, if this price comes back in and falls above, then there's a possibility we will still be looking for selling opportunities, but the price might need to come up a bit higher, potentially within the red support and resistance area. So wait to see what ends up happening and how this market performs, but definitely we will be looking for sells. Let's wait to see how much of a pullback we can get before we end up continuing with those selling opportunities on silver. Now, last but not least, we do have gold, gold being a fan favorite of most people. So yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. So you can see the three areas that John had pointed out. It seems that the day before the market, we were looking for those selling opportunities. It seems that there was some sort of small support and resistance area here where the market attempted to come down. It seems that this price wasn't good enough. And remember, if the price is not good enough, you need a better price. And it seems that that's what ended up happening yesterday. since the market didn't manage to continue going to the upside, we were hoping to see some sort of probe or price action signal. You can see the illustration John had pointed out. You can see it did something similar. We just move this slightly. So you can see we did end up getting multiple probes within that particular area. And the time that the market actually started taking off to the downside, we do note it was at 5:30. So you can see the market didn't manage to continue coming down. Similar situation during the Asian session, it didn't manage to attempt to come down lower, but we still haven't gone below this particular area. So the fact that's the case, we will still be respecting the same areas that we did have yesterday. But overall, we will definitely be still looking for selling opportunities. Right now, let's wait to see what kind of pullback we do end up getting. So you can see the price has attempted to come down. Maybe this is inciting very many people to look for sales. All those late sellers might be having their stop losses within this area. Wait to see what ends up happening here. But overall, we could end up finding this market might be in some sort of range bouncing between these levels. So we'll wait to see whether or not we can end up getting a pullback. Similar situation within that particular area. But if the price is able to break this area to the downside, or we do end up seeing the sellers really coming back in and the price holding below, then we should be able to continue looking for selling opportunities on gold. So I hope that it's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the sell side with the pairs on the buy side. Remember, nothing much is really going to change on our watch list, mainly because we do hardly have any fundamentals coming in. Let's see whether or not the London big boys are actually going to be able to use this Australian dollar fundamentals. So that strength that we're expecting to see, let's wait to see whether or not it happens during the London session today or might happen during the US session. So I guess that's it from me and from us. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are finding value in these sessions. Remember, if you do have any questions, queries, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details are right there in the chat box. In the description right under this video. And yeah, I want to thank you guys so much. Remember, if you do enjoy this, please help us drop a like. Make sure you do subscribe. Really does end up helping us out a lot. And remember, it is free of charge. And especially if you are finding value in these sessions. If you want us to suggest anything in particular or have any suggestions, also let us know. We are here to try and provide you guys a service or at least some value. I know that we would have definitely enjoyed when we started trading. So I guess that is it from me. I want to thank you guys so much. Hope you have an amazing trading day. God bless, happy trading, and bye for now. Cheers, guys.